You know how like on LinkedIn, people make their profiles ex Google, ex Instagram, ex Meta, stuff like that? Wouldn't it be funny if we base that on our relationships? So in that case, I would be like ex Jessica, ex Jennifer, ex, well, I can't even remember the last girl. Anyway, so it's May 5th, Cinco de Mayo. Happy Cinco de Mayo to all of you who celebrate.
¡Dale, mariachi!
So anyway, got a quick update again. A few of the meetings that I've had with clients, we've had people say, well, we kind of get Bonito, but what can Bonito do for us, right? Like, what are we going to use this thing for? So I've done all these showcases, and there's lots of examples, right? So AI is one of these things that are transformational, and it's going to be impacting not only our work, but the way we live and things like that. But right now, Bonito is focused on the way it impacts enterprises and organizations in general. So I was talking with a couple of the engineers, and we were just laughing about all the places we worked at before, and how we had to do all these courses that obviously nobody pays attention to, but they're important for the company to do, and they're important for a company to track because it helps them do their compliance and all this stuff. So what we did was, this would be a great example. Why don't we just use Bonito's backend to create agents that create, curate, and assign these courses to their employees, for example. So we did this project here. I mean, the last one I did was the IKEA companion app, but this one is more, it's a little bit of a heavier lift, but it's got about 10 agents all in all in the back end. You can't see it. The whole idea is the front end is very simple for you to use, but in the back end, there is a pipeline that curates about 8 to 10 agents on any given basis to make yourself a course and also assign it to people, things like that. Everything it's an agentic backend, agentic AI backend. Okay, so let me show it to you here. Here it is, guys. It's called Kursi, and if you know, you know. Here's a site, right? So again, guys, the front end is completely up to you. If you're a Bonito customer, this is your harness plugged in to Bonito. Really, the value prop of Bonito is the agentic side of it. Now, this can be obviously modified to whoever, but again, guys, this is like a multi-million dollar, multi-billion dollar business here, especially for larger clients. They charge up to $500,000 to $1 million just to do these courses that mostly people pay attention to, and they should, but a lot of times they don't. But the idea is it's needed in the workforce, and we built it, right? So like, this is just the front end, right? So like, I'll show you what it looks like in the middle, but the back end is exactly what Bonito does, and that's what you can do as well. If you were a customer of Bonito, you can basically plug in your side, make it your theme, your style, whatever. But the agentic side is completely handled on the Bonito app, and you won't have to worry about the routing and the governance and all that stuff from an AI perspective. This is the power of an AI backend, and I'll show you how this works once I log in. Okay, so here we are logged in as an admin. Let's put in something in the chat and create a course. Here we're going to create an anti-phishing course for sales managers using a formal tone. Again, you're just talking to it like a chat. You're just talking to it like a bot. And this is, again, ChatGPT for courses, right? So like, this is something you can do, and it's not exactly going through ChatGPT. It'll completely handle it from a list of LLMs, whichever one's available. This is a description as to what will happen in the backend. It'll go to different steps, and each of these steps will have 1 to 2 agents, sometimes even 3 that go over it. It scrapes for images, it scrapes for content, and you can also give it content, by the way, but this is just a generic sort of example to show you what it can do. And once it's all done, it'll give you a general preview as to what the structure is like, which we'll see in a second. So at the final stage, there is a process where it curates and it makes sure that everything is correct based on what you gave it. So for example, here you go, here you have your slides. You described for it to give 12 slides, and it gives you all 12 slides, including a quiz, for example. So it's an intuitive system that you can completely build, and everything here on the back end is completely, again, on Bonito AI. So you can go ahead and approve it. Once you approve it, you're over here where you just have to go, and you can see all the slides again, but you just have to assign it to the people that you know, or the people within your organization. Okay, so for example, I'm assigning it to this admin, which is actually yourself in this case as you're logged in. But again, it's you can assign it to whoever you want. You can select a due date, so these people will be notified for that, and you'll have an alert that comes out of the due date. I'm just trying to show you the general things that you can build, especially if you're a team that is using Bonito. You can just build things internally. You don't have to go and spend money outside to do this kind of stuff. So for example, if we want to assign it to somebody who's not, Taylor, for example, is a learner, and she needs to learn these things, right? So you're going to go and assign it and process the assets. And once you process the assets, again, you just go back to your courses and everything's ready to go. And it tells you how many users are going to need to use it. So there are 2 assignments in this case. And look, it shows up right here, right? So all the courses that you created will show up right here. So most of this is just engineering because you see it on the front end. But again, the back end is what I want to describe to you. So that process of curation and everything is just great. Now check this out. Let's see if it works.
This course explains anti-bribery expectations for sales managers in the banking industry. The focus is on practical decisions that arise when teams build client relationships, pursue new business, or interact with intermediaries. A formal policy is only effective when managers recognize pressure points early and set clear expectations for their teams.
We can skip through some slides here.
A bribe is not limited to cash. It can include gifts, travel, meals, entertainment, charitable donations, hiring favors, discounts, or anything else offered to influence a business
So you can see how this can be very effective and
Sales
impactful.
managers should evaluate the full gift policy.
Let's go through a few more slides to give you an example here. So, okay, here you go. Here's a quiz, a knowledge section. It kind of, it sees which answers are right. It's all completely handled here. And again, engineering is one thing. An AI backend that can generate this for you as well as curate is a completely different thing altogether. So you can submit your answer, shows that it's right or wrong. I'm sure there's some things that we can add here.
Public officials or employees of state-owned entities. These relationships.
So again, guys, that's the power of something like an AI backend. You saw how quickly you can do something like this with an agentic backend that just gives you everything you need from an LLM perspective. This is the kind of thing that AI needs to do. Not sit there and make videos of your grandmother as an anime character, in my opinion. But these are the kind of things that people should be invested in because this is something that'll impact both businesses and their employees. Now, let me show you how it looks from a learner perspective. So once you log in here, you could probably see that these courses, and I'm logged in as a learner, so I'm logged in as a potential employee for your company, for example. And you can see here that these are all the courses that have been curated for me. But the idea is that all of this is curated by a bot, customized by agents that are running in the backend, that are running completely on Bonito. And again, the point here is, guys, that you're not worried about the model. You're not worried about, oh my God, am I going to use OpenAI? Am I going to use Anthropic? Am I going to use Llama? We use them all. We use them all. The idea is you have a disaster recovery. Everything, all of this is deployed with one file on the Bonito side. That's all you need. You just need a YAML file, and you basically need to plug in the harness. So whatever harness you're using, in this case, just to kind of keep it spicy, we used Codex. But again, a lot of people use Claude Code. A lot of people use OpenClaw. You just have to give it the documentation and the CLI tool basically as a skill for that harness. And then you can plug it into Bonito using the CLI and your API key. So there's a few more things here to consider. There's obviously an audio library that goes outside of Bonito. There's also, actually that's about it. And there's a searching library also that goes outside of Bonito. But about 8 out of the 10 agents are completely handled on the Bonito side. And again, these are completely routable. So let me explain what I mean. Let's go back to the admin section here. Here we're logged in as admin, as you can see. On the admin side, the entire system is just basically done from an AI backend. So these courses are already cataloged here. If you want to go and create courses, it's something just as simple as, for example, going to courses, clicking a new course, and here you go. Right? So I just showed you this example before this, but it's all curated through here. And this backend is, again, you're not worried about which LLM you're going to use. It uses a mix of them. So if, for example, Claude goes down and you're using Claude as the backend, which is one of the LLMs that are connected in this use case here, you won't notice, and you shouldn't have to notice, right? That's the idea. So like if you're completely tied to one model and say, for example, they go down for whatever reason, Bonito will handle the load completely and move it to the next one. And really, this is important to you because you should not have to worry about which model and which LLM to use. You should be worrying about building. You should be worrying about productivity. You should be worried about the bottom line. That's the point here. Those of you who were wondering what Bonito can do for you, something like this is exactly what Bonito can do for you. So if you or your organization are building with AI, build on Bonito. Build for success. Until next time, catch y'all later. Peace.